Welcome back to Let's Read Umineko. Before we get into the actual game, I want to talk about the thing that I was spoiled about, just so that everybody's on the same page. So about that, I went back actually and I found the original image that that I had seen that spoiled me, and I have some good news and I have some bad news, and then I have a bit more other good news. So, the good news is that it turns out I wasn't actually as spoiled as I thought I was. I didn't actually know who the killer was. I thought that there were some implications in the image that hinted at who the killer was, but that turned out to not be the case. The bad news is, well, I am now. I'm spoiled now because I saw the image again. So I'd just completely forgotten a certain detail in the image that actually does spoil the killer. So basically nothing has changed for you guys. You already knew I was spoiled, but the good news, the other good news, is that I'm actually more confused now after I know who's done it than I was before. Like, I have no idea how this could possibly work. I have no idea how this could play out. Like, it seems completely ridiculous to me. So what I'm going to do, just to avoid having to dance around all this, so that I can actually speculate and talk about my thoughts on the game without, you know, needing to walk on eggshells here, I'm going to show you guys the image that I saw. So if you are playing along, if you don't want to, if you haven't gotten to the point where the killer is revealed yet, you may want to tune out and check back again when you know that. Because from this point on, we're going to be proceeding under the assumption that everyone is on the same page. We're all spoiled by this one image, and this image could be completely false. It might be fake. I don't know. I mean, this is just one fan-made image that I saw, and it seems to be a spoiler to me. But it could be completely irrelevant to everything, but it just seems like there are pieces in there that kind of make sense, and then some that kind of don't. So anyway, I'm gonna give you like 3 seconds to exit the video if you don't want to see this image, because I'm gonna show it right now. Alright, so as you can see, this is an image, like a parody of a certain sequence. If you're not familiar, it's from Danganronpa, where you like corner the killer at the end of a trial, and then you use like the things on the side of the screen. So here it clearly says like bombs in the food. So clearly, I think I know that is the murder weapon for this case. And then in the middle there, this is the bit that I didn't remember, it says, "How do you propose Goda killed everyone?" Well, it's quite possible that Goda is the killer here. I don't know how that would work, why he would do that, how that would make sense. He's one of the people who died, if I'm not mistaken, so that's really weird, but it's possible. And then, of course, the other elephant in the room here is that it spoils that there is a sprite for Beatrice, and that she is an actual character in the story, which was super obvious. I mean, come on. She's in all the promo art. Like, we already heard her voice coming out of Maria's mouth, so I think everybody knew she was a character. So we'll probably see her at some point. But yeah, so there's that. And that's everything that I have been spoiled on. That's the only image related to this series that I have seen at all before before I started playing this. So and of course there's the image I used for the thumbnail, which ironically, I never mentioned this, but just off screen in the image, I think it might just be like symbolic, or maybe it's not, I don't know, but Battler is clearly holding like a dead Beatrice in his arms. So that seems like a weird thing to put in promotional artwork, but anyway, so now, full disclosure, that's everything I know. Now we can proceed together. We're all on the same page. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk about why that didn't really make sense to me. I mean, bombs in the food, that could explain why their faces are all messed up, but that would mean that the bombs exploded like while the food was still in their mouths. And also, like, I'm pretty sure even though the doctor said he wasn't a professional coroner or anything, like, he would still be able to tell probably if they could, if these wounds were like inflicted after death. It says that they were smashed, not that they were like blown to bits. I don't know. But it's possible that, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking that. And then there's Goda, who I have no idea what his motive would be to do that. Like, I thought of the most people, or of the people who were suspicious, I guess maybe Natsume would have potentially been able to, like, order him to do it, but I don't think he was that loyal. Like, I think he was there, he was at the Ushiromiya residence because he wanted to, like, pad out his resume. And I think that he didn't really have any loyalty to them. But the thing is, maybe he mixed up some of the food that had bombs in it or something. Maybe he ate one that he wasn't supposed to. And then there's also Kraus and Shannon. Only half of their faces are messed up. So how would that work if they like ate food that exploded? That doesn't really make much sense to me. So right now I'm really confused if that spoiler is real. If it's not, maybe it turns out to just be like some crackpot theory that Battler shoots out at one point and it's not a real spoiler. But I don't know. Anyway, now that we have that out of the way, we can proceed with our regularly scheduled Umineko. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, the voices from the kids' TV program Maria was watching, and the engrossed Maria's cackling voice. In other words, what greeted them as they returned dumbfounded from that horrible, bizarre scene was the voice of Maria as she rolled around laughing at the TV. Those who returned to the room didn't know how to explain to Maria that her mother was dead, and were trapped by a suffocating silence. At first, Maria returned their stares with a dubious look, but when she realized they weren't trying to blame her for anything, she ignored them and again immersed herself in the TV program. The children wordlessly sat down heavily on the sofa. Their minds were probably blank from their state of shock. Everyone had already cried and mourned so much, but now they just vaguely sat there, their faces seeming to have lost all emotion. Only Kanon had returned to his usual calm expression. However, that probably didn't mean he'd been able to wipe out the shock. Nothing was reflected in his eyes as he stared into empty space. Hideyoshi kept on fidgeting, and every time he remembered that horrible scene, he started muttering about how he couldn't believe it, how it couldn't have been something from this world, how it must have been the work of demons. Every now and then his mutterings produced a question directed at Nanjo, but the latter kept repeating in a calm, doctor-like manner that nothing could be understood by only glancing at the scene, and that until the police arrived, they wouldn't learn anything. However, Nanjo only appeared calm next to Hideyoshi, who simply couldn't suppress his agitation and fear. In fact, Nanjo had also received a huge shock, and his face was a deathly pale. Maybe that atmosphere was why she tried to rise to the challenge and take charge. Natsuhi appeared to be unchanged from her normal attitude, and she briskly gave directions.
私はお父様のところへ行ってきます。源氏は急ぎ警察へ連絡を。
かしこまりました。
私も一緒させていただいていいかしら、夏日姉さん。クラウス兄さんがいなくなった以上、お父様の補佐は私の仕事だもの。その私が夏日姉さんに任せっきりで ここでくつろいでいるわけにはいかないわ。
Natsuhi was struck speechless by Ava's aggressive move in a situation like this. She seemed to be claiming that with Kraus dead, the one to take responsibility shouldn't be his wife, but herself, the next highly ranked in the family. Or maybe she hadn't been at all happy when Natsuhi took command without reference to her in such an extreme situation. However, even Ava's mind had been blank from shock until a moment ago. She only came to her senses after Natsuhi started giving orders.
お好きになさるといいでしょう。
Natsuhi started walking without saying a word more. Ava followed behind her. As they did, Kumasawa ran into the parlor. She usually wasn't the kind of person to run around, so under normal conditions, most people would have taken her entrance as a sign that something was the matter. But because everyone was still stricken with shock, they hardly even noticed her.
奥様、奥様。
夏日姉さんならお父さんのところへ行ったで。すぐ戻ってくるやろ。どないしたんや、熊沢さん。
それが食堂に血が。
Okay, so we've got a scene of the crime now, which is interesting because I would have thought that Kanon and Genji, when they were searching around, particularly Kanon, would have noticed the blood when he was searching for everybody, because I'm pretty sure he searched the dining hall, right? So maybe she just means there's a small amount and it was kind of hidden away. Let's see. The ears of everyone in the parlor twitched. Everyone thought the same thing. I hope I misheard that. Any container can only hold so much, and no one here would be capable of handling yet another tragedy. So they all thought it. I hope I misheard that.
なんやって？食堂？
朝食の準備に、食堂に配膳に。
The first one to start running was George. His harsh footsteps jogged Hideyoshi and Nanjo to their senses, and they chased after him. Battler and the others followed. They flew into the dining hall one after another, but they didn't find any change that might have caused Kumasawa to go pale. To those who had viewed that gruesome scene in the storehouse, it was a bit of an anticlimax. However, Kumasawa, who had followed them, pointed it out. There really were some traces of blood remaining on the floor. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So Kanon probably wouldn't have noticed this on a first pass, just like glancing to see if there's anybody in the room. That makes sense. I was ready to get suspicious of Kanon there, but yeah, I think he's in the clear for now. Compared to that terrible scene, it wasn't very impressive. However, if you calmly thought about it, this definitely indicated the loss of a lot of blood.
ここにも血だまりがあるよ。これは一体。
だいぶ時間が経っているように見えますな。おそらく昨べ、ここで殺されたんだと見ていいでしょう。
そういうことになるんやろな。
It being in the dining hall lends a bit more credence to the bombs in the food theory, though. So, but there's still the major missing piece of like, where would anybody get bombs? Like, why bombs? Why would those even be here? So, like, this would have to be so premeditated for that to be the case, which is really, really confusing. But anyway, let's just keep going.
わしらは昨べずっと食堂で話し合いをしとった。そしてここに何者かが押し入ったに違いない。
父さんたちが打ち合わせを抜けて休んだのは何時だっけ？
昨夜の24時を少し過ぎたくらいの頃や。
I should mention, I'm not even like remotely suspicious of Hideyoshi and Ava, because that would just be like too obvious. Like they're the obvious red herring here. Like they left early, and they're the only ones. They're the ones who would benefit most out of this. But I just don't see them as being the culprits. I don't know. We'll have to see.
だからその後にと考えるんが妥当やろうな。
マジかよ。勘弁してくれよ。お嬢様、しっかり。
俺はもうさっきの倉庫でこの世の地獄ってやつを拝んじまったから、今さらこのくらいじゃ答えねえぜ。
そうかよ。よかったな。私は頭がどうにかなっちまいそうだぜ。ここは食堂だぜ。私は毎日ここで食事をして、学校のことをぼやいたり、宿題のことをぼやいたり、親父に学校もそういうところなんだぜ。お嬢様、これ以上ここにいるのはよくありません。客間へ戻りましょう。
俺も同感さ。秀吉おじさん、この部屋は多分警察にとって重要な意味があると思います。俺たちが踏み荒らしちまうのはまずいんじゃないですか。
Battler proposed this in a slightly firm voice as, along with Kanon, he grabbed the pail and shaking Jessica's shoulders.
バトラさんの言う通りですな。この部屋にこれ以上好んで居続けることはありますまい。
Nanjo spoke while looking at everyone's pale faces. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world. At least then we'd been able to leave, to cut ourselves off from that place and run away. Everyone had shared in that feeling. However, this dining hall was different. It was the mansion, the main building on this estate, and as Jessica had said, it should have been one of the most calming places even inside the mansion. It was where all the relatives had eaten lunch and dinner yesterday. The shock of seeing this place smeared with blood reminded us of that horrible spectacle in the storehouse. It forced us to accept that we hadn't really been able to run away from the scene of that tragedy.
わしも同感や。この部屋には犯人の痕跡が残ってるかもわからんしな。素人のわしらがかき回すべきとちゃうで。はよ出るんや。はよはよ。
Hideyoshi also understood the meaning of what Battler had said and pushed everyone to hurry out of the dining hall. The way we were then, looking at that blood any longer would have been too harsh. Nobody went against his words. Everyone raced each other out of the dining hall. It was almost as though the last person in the room would be trapped in there all alone. Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who was still trembling and leaning against the wall. We all headed back to the parlor together. Then Genji returned.
お、源氏さん、警察に連絡はつきましたか？
それが無線機の故障か、それ以外の理由によるものかわかりませんが。
なんや、警察に連絡がつかんのか。電話も無線もどっちもダメなんか。
申し訳ございません。月曜の朝に船が来ることになっていますので、その船の通信機を借りることができると思います。
この島には船はないんか。新島の警察署までちょっくら行ってくることはできんのか。
秀吉さん、この天気では無理だ。少なくとも台風が通り過ぎるまではどうにもなりません。
クラウス様のボートは今修理中で島にございません。ですので月曜の船を待つほかないかと。
そんなアホな話があるか。6人も死んだんやで。そして電話も無線も通じず、船もない。台風が過ぎて船が来るまで、つまり明日の朝までわしらは警察にも連絡できず、この島におれっちゅうことなんか。
ってことはつまり俺たちだけじゃなくおじさんたちを殺した犯人もこの島から出られず足止めってことだな。
そういうことになるね。みんなを殺した犯人はまだこの島にいる。
親父たちを殺した奴はこの島から逃げ出せずまだ潜んでやがるってことかよ。くそくそくそくそ、見つけ出してやるぜ。警察になんか引き渡すもんか。私がこの手でやっつ先にしてやる。
Maria had finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it was probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected, since everyone was getting so excited about something that only she didn't know about.
ジェシカお姉ちゃん、誰か死んじゃったの？
The way she spoke was completely calm, just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that, as though trying to say, "Can't you tell just by looking at me?" Overwhelmed with grief, she flared up at Maria.
死んじまったぜ、みんな。私の親父もパトラの父さんと母さんも、幸田さんもシャノンも、そしてマリアの母さんも。
よすんだジェシカちゃん。悲しいのは君だけじゃない。
マリアさん、ショックだろうが聞いてください。あなたのお母さんがな、死んでしまいました。
ママが死んじゃった？
ああ、誰かに殺されちまった。
I'm not sure if she just doesn't grasp the gravity of it, or if maybe there's something a bit more sinister there, and maybe she was like expecting it somehow. There's definitely something potentially up with Maria, and like the whole fact of her being possessed earlier by Beatrice, and I'm still pretty sure that's what happened, is very suspect to me.
悲しいだろうがよ。心をしっかり。
I wouldn't be surprised if she said something like, "Oh, what's there to be sad about? She just died. She just died, right? That's okay." Like, that seems like the kind of crazy, weird, innocent thing that would come out of her mouth.
死んじゃった？
6人だぜ、6人だ。
She also seems really calm right now, and I'm wondering maybe is Beatrice still possessing her? That would be interesting. Like, I don't know. Let's just keep going.
あんな残酷なことしやがって。ほどってもんがあるだろうがよ。人間ならよ。誰だか知らねえが、犯人は人間じゃねえぜ。血の色が赤いわけがねえ。
犯人は人間じゃない。鍵が選んだ生贄なだけ。
I'm not sure what that means. I couldn't tell by the voice there what those asterisks are supposed to meant to represent.
え？おい、マリア、今なんて言った？
Like I think I know what what was supposed to be substituted for those asterisks, but like I don't know what she actually physically said, is what I mean. But as for the asterisks, I'm pretty sure she is referring to the 6 chosen by the key. So, yeah. Maria had just said something, but since the words were so remotely separated from the flow and context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Natsuhi's loud voice coming from the entrance to the parlor. It looked like Aunt Natsuhi and Aunt Ava had returned from their trip to see grandfather.
無線でも連絡できない？こんな時に使えなくて何のための防災無線ですか？
申し訳ございません。毎年保守点検はさせているはずなのですが。
ほら、光をチカチカさせるみたいな船舶信号ってあるじゃない？そういうので向こうの島に連絡することはできないのかしら？
そのような設備はございません。申し訳ございません。
Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a serving cart loaded with breakfast. Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi had ordered her to take it to the parlor.
なぜ朝食をこちらに？
ああ、夏木さん、それは後で話す。それよりエヴァ、お父さんはどうなんや？
ご一緒でないところを見ると、このような事態になっても部屋から出ませんか？
いないわ。部屋は空っぽだったのよ。
なんやて？こんな時にどこ行ったんや？
親方様が書斎を出られたというのですか？
そうです。私も驚いています。いつの間に部屋を出たのやら。あなたたちに心当たりはないのですか？
Matsuhi looked at Genji and Kanon as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who served directly under the one-winged eagle knew of a place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kinzo best realized even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room.
僕たちにも見当がつきません。
ご存知の通り、親方様はあの書斎の中にお休みの場所からご不浄まで全てを設けさせました。親方様があの部屋をお出になることなどよっぽどのことがない限り考えられません。
となると、なんや、そのよっぽどのことがあったって考えるのが自然だっちゅうことになるんか。
まだそうと決まったわけではありません。とにかく気まぐれな方ですから、現状をご存知なくお一人で散歩をされている可能性もあります。仮にそうだとしたら、一刻も早く現状をお知らせしてご指示を仰がねばなりません。
そうね、考えたくはないけど、お父様の身に何かあったのかもしれないしね。
そのような不吉なことは考えたくもありません。
No one had seen Kinzo since the discovery of those 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio wouldn't reach anyone, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, the typhoon would leave tomorrow and a boat would come, but until then, no one could rely on anyone outside the island, nor could they escape the island. The tragedy had hit everyone so abruptly that they had lost all their composure. Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything, so some of them held their heads in their arms while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on this island, Rokkenjima. After that, we ate the breakfast Kumasawa-san had made, which felt dry and tasteless. Of course, this was right after something like that had happened. No one felt particularly hungry. However, we understood logically that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa-san, who had made the breakfast. Kumasawa-san had taken some unusual Western vegetables, ones that Goda-san had probably ordered for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. As to what Goda-san had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right then I couldn't even imagine it. If I did think about it, I'd be reminded of the way Goda-san died, and a sour taste would fill the inside of my mouth. Everyone pretended to eat for the time being, but of course no one made much progress. Then we began pooling our knowledge of our current situation. First off, 6 people, which included Uncle Kraus, my dad, Kirie-san, Aunt Rosa, Goda-san, and Shannon-chan, had been found in the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally mutilated corpses. And yet we still couldn't contact the police, since both the phones and the radio were unusable. So until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, grandfather, who we might have hoped would be able to show a little leadership in this kind of a situation, had disappeared some time ago. Goda-san hadn't made breakfast, so grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, we should have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was by now. Despite that, he hadn't appeared. There's more than a small chance that he'd gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, on their way back from Kinzo's study, they'd search for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of it all, it's only reasonable to assume that this disappearance had something to do with the crime. Figured Dad and the rest were probably killed in the dining hall and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So maybe Grandfather has already been killed and dragged to some strange place which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one actually said it out loud, but this theory seemed extremely convincing.
私たちはお屋敷の戸締まりを確認してきます。お父様も念入りに探さなければなりません。子供たちはこの部屋を出ないように。エヴァさんと秀吉さんは申し訳ありませんが、ここで子供たちと一緒にいてください。南條先生もお願いいたします。
わかりました。ここでお待ちしています。
Aunt Natsuhi followed the servants Genji-san and Kumasawa-san and Kanon-kun out of the parlor. All that was left was Aunt Ava, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the 4 of us children, a total of 7 people.
みんなで仲良くテレビでも見て待ってよな。しかし日曜日の午前中はろくな番組やっとらへんな。
Uncle Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere.
ろくな番組見る。
お、そうか。マリアちゃんはテレビ見るか。じゃ、おじさんと一緒に見ような。
Maria was the only one who joined in. Even though Maria had been told of her mother's death, she didn't show the slightest flicker in her emotions. Was it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Maria to act so much like a very young child? I'm thinking what it could be, if we just want to take this at face value and assume there's nothing more sinister at play here, is that she just believes fully in the prophecy. She just believes that that everybody's going to be revived at the end, just like the Legend of the Gold said. So if that's the case, then she's probably just thinking, whatever, they're all going to revive. Which I still don't know if it's true or not. It might happen. Who knows? Everyone else's mood failed to improve, and they each sank absent-mindedly into their sofas.
兄貴、聞いていいか。
なんだい。
さっき倉庫で兄貴はシャノンちゃんの指輪の話をしたよな。あれ送ったのは兄貴か。
George Aniki didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both of his eyes. There could be no clearer response.
よせよバトラー、少しは察しろよ。
だな。悪いことを聞いたぜ。
そうさ、僕だよ。彼女に昨べ求婚したんだ。その時指輪を渡した。明日になったらそれを好きな指返事としてくれってキザったらしいことを言ってね。
That ring had been on the ring finger of Shannon-chan's left hand.
数年前からシャドンに相談を受けてたぜ。ジョージ兄さんのことでさ。
なんて言ってたのかな。
シャノンは嘘をつくのが下手だったからよ。ジョージ兄さんのことを言ってるのはすぐにバレバレでさ。自分は使用人の身分だけど親しくしてもいいのだろうかとか、男の人の好きそうなものは何かとか、どういう服を着たら喜ぶかとか、そんなことをいろいろとさ。なんつうのか、そのまあ焼けたぜ。
それがおしまいかよ。
価値観は人それぞれだけどよ、男から求婚さ人生の到達点なんだと思うんだよ。だからきっと昨夜のシャノンは心の底から。
George Aniki sighed deeply without raising his head. Maybe tears had risen to his eyes.
シャノンは昨べゲストハウスの当番だったらしいんだ。でもシャノンは僕と一緒にゲストハウスに帰るのを恥ずかしがってお屋敷に行ってしまった。
シャノンの気持ちを察しろよ。婚約指輪をもらえばどんなに予告されてたって普通は舞い上がっちまって頭は真っ白になっちまうぜ。気恥ずかしくて仕方なかったんだろうよ。
当番でないはずのお屋敷へ行き、そこで郷田さんの事件に巻き込まれてしまった。僕があの日あの場所で指輪なんか渡さなきゃ、さよは事件に
兄貴、それだけは違うぜ。断じて違う。だからそれ以上泣くんじゃねえ。
バトラー君、そっとしてあげなさい。
After Aunt Ava said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Jessica sat down next to Aniki and put an arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Aniki and Shannon's love since the beginning, who would even discuss that relationship with Shannon, comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Ava and sat down in the opposite sofa.
バトラ君は強いわね。もうだいぶしっかりしているように見えるわよ。
まあほら、愛の深さが傷の深さじゃないっすか。俺は別にあんなクソ親父どうしようが知ったことじゃないし、キリエさんは気の毒ですが、まあ本当の親ってわけじゃないですしね。
あら、という割にはさっきすっごく大泣きしてたわよ。
まあ育ての親に対する恩はあのくらい泣けば OK かと思いまして。
そのあたりの切り替えの速さやドライなあたりは本当にルドルフ譲りね。あの子は昔から激しく喜んだり悲しんだり怒ったりしたけれど、すぐにケロリと平静を取り戻したわ。
そんなことはないっすよ。俺だってまだまだ心のショックから立ち直れちゃいません。ただ俺がみんなと違うのは、それによってどういう感情が生み出されるかってことだと思います。
どういうこと？
I've been acting much calmer than George, Aniki, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense or because I'd already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion.
悲しいっていうよりは腹立たしいって気持ちなんすよ。どこのドイツがこんなことをしやがったのか。横っ面に一発お見舞いしてやらないことに腹の虫が収まらねえんです。
That was what I really wanted to do. I couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees.
親父たちが殺されて以降、この島は台風に包まれたままです。つまりこれだけの上等を決めてくれやがった野郎はまだこの島の中にいるってことです。
そういうことになるわね。今も暗い森のどこかに身を潜めているのかしら。
I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kirie-san the night before. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dinner table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists.
エヴァおばさん、この殺人、昨べのベアトリーチェの手紙と何か関連があるんでしょうかね。
ああ、例の？さあ、どうかしらね。あの手紙はお父様が遺産問題に絡みたくて出した怪文書という見方で兄弟は一致したんだけれども、それと今朝の事件に関係があるかは今の段階では分かりかねるわね。
あの手紙、本当にベアトリーチェなんて魔女がマリアに渡したんすかね。
まさか全部お父様の仕組んだ茶番でしょ。シャノンちゃんあたりに肖像画のドレスを着させてマリアちゃんを騙したんでしょ。お父様らしい手の込みすぎたいたずらだと思うけど。
昨べキリエさんとベアトリーチェは実在するんだろうかって話をしたんですけど、キリエさんも俺たち18人の中にベアトリーチェがいるだろうと言ってましたね。
そんなの当然じゃない。この島には私たちしかいないのよ。なら私たちの中の誰かがベアトリーチェを語ったに決まってるじゃない。
この島には俺たち以外ですか。
当然でしょ。私たち以外の誰がここにいるっていうの？この島には私たちしかいない。18人しかいない。ならベアトリーチェを語るのも18人の中の誰かしかいないじゃない。
Kirie-san denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Even though Aunt Ava hadn't constructed an argument that complicated, her opinion at least was the same. Except if that's the case, our situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, if we're assuming there's no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words,
19人目がいないなら親父たちを殺した犯人も18人の中にいるってことになっちまうじゃないですか。つまり今この屋敷にいる誰かが殺したってことになる。
I feel like these are dangerous thoughts to vocalize. Maybe better to flesh out internally before hashing them out with someone else like this, especially someone like Ava, but we'll see. Aunt Ava smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning.
犯人は倉庫の中に6人の遺体を運び込んだわ。でもよく倉庫の中に運び込めたわよね。あのシャッターは常に閉められていて施錠されていたそうよ。つまり倉庫内に運び込むにはシャッターの施錠を開ける必要があった。
If we're going with the whole Goda theory, then I guess he would have had a key. But I don't know. Wait a second. It can't be Goda. How would he have moved all the bodies into the storehouse? So if it was Goda, he had to have an accomplice, right? So yeah, there's no way.
わかる？
たまたまその日シャッターが開けっぱなしになってた可能性は？
Wait, I guess since he would have known that there's no coroner on the island and they wouldn't be able to contact the police, maybe he sabotaged the radio or something. So maybe he waited until he got into the storehouse and then killed himself there. Or maybe he killed everyone else, but someone else killed Goda. I don't know. This is all very, very confusing.
使用人たちは常に閉めていると言ってたわ。つまり鍵を使用人室から持ち出さなくては倉庫は絶対に開けられない。
鍵は使用人室の一つしかないんすかね。
源氏さんはそうだと言ってるわ。ということは犯人はそのたった一つの倉庫の鍵のありかを知っていて持ち出した。さっきカノン君が使用人室に鍵を戻すところを見たわ。壁にびっしりと鍵がかけられていて、とても素人にはどこに何がかけてあるのかわからなかった。犯人はその中から倉庫の鍵を見事選び出したのよ。しかも札も何もついていない鍵を手にしてバラ庭園裏にある倉庫の鍵だと理解した。ついでに言うと倉庫の場所すら理解していた。もっとはっきり断言するわ。犯人は使用人室の内部にも熟知している。
Her argument was extremely plain and clear. If the bodies had been found thrown somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there was only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and it was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This meant the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot and was familiar with the location of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which meant that...
ってことは使用人の犯人。
However, there's also the fact that why would they put the bodies in the storage house to begin with? And let's say it was Kanon, for example, which I don't think it was, but let's use him as an example. He's the one who found the bodies. Why would he, like, go find them for everyone and direct everyone to the storehouse if that was, like, if he was trying to hide them? Like everything about this case is so inexplicable, and I have no idea what's going on.
悪いけどそれ以上はおばさんも言えないわよ。でも一つだけ教えられることがあるわ。
なんすか？
犯人、犯人たちは複数で、そして十分な武装をしていたと考えられるわ。
I mean, there's the possibility of multiple culprits, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily a very likely possibility. I hope that they find some way to discount that, because that's going to really, really complicate things if that turns out to be a real possibility.
だってそうでしょ。食堂にいた兄さんたち4人を一度に襲って殺し、合計6人分の遺体をようようとバラ庭園の向こうの倉庫まで運んで、悪趣味な化粧と落書きを施している。これだけのことを単独犯で行えるはずもないでしょう。
I mean, if we go with the bombs and the food theory, they could do that. Although the carrying of them back into the storehouse is another story. I'm not sure how they could have pulled that off. It made sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would take so incredibly long. It was probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved.
ってことはエヴァおばさんは使用人。
静かになさいな。憶測で言っちゃ悪いわよ。それにもし本当にそうだったらどうするつもり？彼らは私たちを生かして返さないでしょうね。しかも兄さんたち4人をやすやすと殺した相手なのよ。
And I still think that they intended to kill Natsuhi, because there's that blood mark on the door. There's gotta be some meaning to that.
今この部屋に残っていてまともに戦えそうな人間はうちの家族の3人にせいぜいバトラ君で4人ってところ。状況は昨晩と何も変わらない。つまり犯人にとって残る私たちを皆殺しにするなんて簡単なことなのよ。
I'd been playing detective with Aunt Eva, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I'd been so sure that, just like in one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless. Might even be able to massacre all of the remaining people here. And on top of that, this island was like a giant closed room, cut off from the outside world by the typhoon. So they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder.
あくまでも可能性の問題よ。でも私は使用人の人たちをまだ信用できないのね。それに私は使用人だけを疑ってるわけじゃないわ。さらに黒幕がいるかもしれないと思ってるわよ。
黒幕？どうしてですか？
I think she suspects Kinzo, maybe, as the perpetrator behind this. And then she would also, therefore, suspect all of Kinzo's servants. Then we've also got the possibility that she suspects Natsuhi, and it's Goda. But then who else would that be? Maybe Kumasawa? I don't know.
勘よ。使用人は書いて字のごとし、誰かに使用されて手足となる存在よ。殺されたのは後宮家の親族ばかり。なら その結果で利害が発生する人間が関わるのは当然。
This was also plain and clear. The Ushinomiya family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died. If this case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel, the crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushinomiya family and who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Ava had probably read a few books in that genre herself. Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shutter. That made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved.
なぜか気に入らねえんすよね。
気に入らないって？何の話？
あ、いえいえ、こっちの話っす。
I tried to dodge her question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, her conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. And I just couldn't be satisfied with that. If I tried spinning the chessboard around like I'd learned from Kirie-san, this was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use the Rose Garden shed if they were the ones in charge of the key that could unlock it? The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew we'd think that and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? No, that's completely impossible. When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carried out that murder, some traces will definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they'd want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in a novel I read recently called Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Which, by the way, I want to point out this is the spiritual successor to that. I've never read it, I don't know anything about it, but I'm not particularly interested in it. But yeah, I am aware of it. I know of its existence. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Right now, we don't know where grandfather is. We don't know if he's already become a victim, or if he's one of the culprits, but this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. The culprit has absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way, and making us all realize there's been a murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, showing us the corpses in such a flashy way must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. So at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses there meant more than the deaths themselves. In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us. This is a message. The culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. I don't know what it is. At this point in time, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except a malice directed towards all of us. Malice towards all of us, is it? Each one of the survivors had some kind of connection to one of the 6 victims. Uncle Krause's death brought Jessica the grief of losing a family member. The deaths of Dad and Kirie-san brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rosa's death brought Maria sorrow. Goda-san's death probably shocked his fellow servants, and Shannon-chan's death brought grief both to George Anuki, who had proposed to her, and Kanon-kun, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island has received an equal amount of sadness. Aunt Ava was sure that the servants were in cahoots, but then, how could you explain the deaths of Goda-san and Shannon-chan? At any rate, by this argument, the grief caused by the 6 deaths hit everyone but Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi. Even Aunt Eva, who had directed suspicion at the servants and acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion, could not be ruled out as a suspect. In the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. If you look at it from a perspective of motive and who would gain, Aunt Eva's name rises to the top of the list.
バトラ君が何を考えてるか、おばさんわかるわよ。
わ内緒にしててくださいよ。あんなことやこんなことで頭をいっぱいにしてたなんて。
私がこの殺人で一番得をする。どうせ疑われるだろうから先に自己申告しておくわ。
I tried to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work.
遺産は兄弟の数で分割する。でも今や4兄弟は私一人。後宮家の全財産は全て私のものになるの。
秀吉おじさんが聞いたら予算か言えばシャレにならんっていうところっすね。
ごめんね。どう取り繕ったってどうせ疑われるだろうからふざけただけよ。だからこの殺人は私の立場から見れば私を疑わせるためのものではないかと思ってるの。困ったことに昨べのアリバイは弱いわ。
Can't Hideyoshi at least, corroborate her alibi? I guess you could say that he's in cahoots, which, given how many people died, would not be out of the question.
聞かせてもらってもいいですか？昨べのことを。
バトラ君たちも知っている通り、兄弟が遺産をどう食いちぎり合うかという話し合いは深夜まで続いたわ。でも何時まで続いたかは知らない。私と主人は朝が早かったからね。もう眠くて24時を過ぎたあたりで抜けさせてもらったの。そしてゲストハウスに戻って休んだわ。
それを秀吉おじさん以外の誰かに証明できるっすか？いやいや、別にエヴァおばさんを疑ってるわけじゃないっすよ。
あら、どうだか。証明になるかわからないけれど、ゲストハウスに戻ってきた時、源氏さんに出迎えを受けてタオルはいるかと聞かれたわ。だから私たちがゲストハウスに戻ってきた時間は24時過ぎだと証明してくれると思うわよ。もっとも、私の仮説通り、使用人たちもグルなのだとしたら、こんなのアリバイにならないけどね。
確かにそうっすね。ってことは、俺、今、真犯人と推理ごっこをしてるってことになるんすか？
でも私の名誉のために言わせてもらうけど、遺産目当てだったならこんな変な殺人はしないわよ。だって遺産相続権を喪失させるだけならどんな死に方だって構わない。むしろ事故死に見せかけた方がスマートでしょ。使用人たちを抱き込んで周到に計画していたならなおさらそうするでしょうよ。
確かにそうっすね。営利で人を殺すならそれは常に殺人に見せるべきではない。
そういうことよ。だからおばさんは今からとてもブルーな気持ちなわけ。警察には黒幕扱いされて散々調べられるでしょうね。やだやだ。
Aunt Ava shrugged with a bitter smile. It's just as easy to suspect Aunt Eva as it was to suspect the servants. So if we spin the chessboard around, does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. Now that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back and back to front. Are my thoughts bringing me closer to the truth? Or are they... Aunt Ava didn't want to talk any more than that, so I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool off my head. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George Aniki and the others gathered, talking. It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see. Since Mario is second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant.
多分こんな感じだったと思うで。十字架をアレンジしたみたいなマークが書かれとったんや。そしてこんな感じで外周の円を取り囲むように妙な文字がびっしり書き込まれていて、十字架の上下左右の辺とその四隅にも何か書かれていたんや。アルファベットとかそういうのとちゃうで。あれはよく言う古代文字とかいうやつや。
あと円周部の頂点に小さな丸を5つ十字状に並べ、それぞれを直線で結んだようなマークでした。
ああ、確かにそんなのも書いてあったで。図形的には間違いなくこれや。細かい文字はわからんが、配列はほぼ同じや。
Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I'd heard, this had been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. I see. This sure is unsettling.
こんなわけのわかんねえもんを書きたがるのはじいさまだけだろ。まったくどこに行っちまったんだ。とっ捕まえて意味を聞き出してやりたいぜ。
Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far as to say that grandfather was the culprit, but she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting the Yoshida-Miya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning, which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. See, this is another reason why I don't think it makes much sense for it to be Goda. So, I really don't know what to think about that whole quote-unquote spoiler that I may or may not have stumbled upon. Let's just keep going. That's right, and the reason this crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case, where had grandfather, the essential recipient of this message, disappeared off to?
こんな図形に何か心当たりはあるかい？
Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the events at hand, as though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse.
僕の第一印象ではどこか外国の十字章に似たデザインだなって思ったかな。
ああ、確かにこんなデザインや。ということはそのどこぞの国と何か関係があるんか？
その国の十字章はもともと聖地巡礼者を守るための騎士修道士たちの紋章だったそうですな。
つまりこの魔法陣には宗教的な意味があるってことかよ。ますますにちんぷんかんぷんだぜ。
When I looked over at all of them, prepared to jump into the discussion, something shocked me. Maria was smiling, an eerie and incomprehensible expression on her face. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. And she laughed. That eerie, jarring laugh. Something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes.
全然違うよみんな。こんなの見てわかんないかな。
While everyone was busy being scared out of their wits, Maria kept on cackling happily by herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off, but her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria.
これは太陽の7の魔法陣だよ。
See, this sounds exactly like the voice we saw before, which I'm still not sure if it's actually Maria's voice or if it's a completely different voice actress, but it sounds like someone else. And I think that this is like Beatrice, who is possessing her or something, if I had to guess.
書かれてる文字はヘブライ語。貸して。
Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with a rustle, right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn.
で、こんな図形だったんじゃないかな。
そんな図形だった。
マリア、すごいな。さすが詳しいぜ。
Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well, but Maria didn't answer her in any way in particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide.
天地と左右に書かれているのは風化水道を司る天使たちの名。カサン、アレル、フォルラク、そしてタリアハド。そして斜め四方には4代の王たちの名。アリエル、セラフ、タルシス、ケルブ。合ってる？
Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they'd seen, when they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again.
間違いない。そうや。確かにこんな文字が書かれとった。なんでこんなん書けるんや。
あと演習文に文字が書かれておりましたな。
わかってるよ。こうでしょ。
Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing.
旧約聖書の詩編第116編の16節と17節だよ。聖書くらい読んでなきゃ。
Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George Eineke returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak.
すごいね。驚いたよ。それでこの魔法陣にはどんな意味があるんだい？
太陽の力を借りる魔法陣だよ。黄金で描き護符にして身につけたる者はいかなる牢獄であろうとも束縛から逃れ自由を得られる力を授けられる。
束縛から逃れ自由を得られる。意味深だぜ。
この束縛という意味は何も肉体的なものだけを指さないと解釈されている。だから縛られて牢屋にいる人ばかりに意味があるわけじゃないよ。 しがらみや逃れぬ運命など精神的な束縛からの解放も意味してるんだよ。
しがらみや逃れ得ぬ運命。
And maybe could this be, potentially, if we're going with the Goda thing, could this be a suicide? Because he hated being a servant here, and he just wanted to like kill everyone, take them all out with him? That seems a little bit too simple, though. And also, like, how would he possibly know this symbol? Like, maybe he was also possessed by Beatrice, but then, like, anything's possible if we start going that route.
これまた意味深だな。
しかしさっぱりわからん。それとあの6人の遺体とどんな関係があるっちゅうんや。束縛からの解放どころか殺された上に倉庫に閉じ込められてたんやで。
別にその6人のために魔法陣が描かれてるわけじゃないね。魔法陣のために6人はそこにいるんでしょう。お気の毒だよ。
どういう意味だい？魔法陣のために6人がいるってのは一体。
Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it as if she were making fun of us.
それは演習部に書いてるよ。読めないかな。詩編第116編16節と17節。読んであげるよ。主は私の枷を解かれました。私はあなたに感謝の生贄を捧げ、主の皆を呼ぶでしょう。ね
ねって何を言ってるのかさっぱりだぜ。
生贄だってのか。
What Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of the magic circle. Then it was saying that the sacrifices had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse, where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked, and others spat out that this was insane as they punched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing. We couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't even care what kind of magic circles or curses other people believe in, but I won't pick a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest as sacrifices for crap like that? I just couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were still disgusted by that theory about the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off with a feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday. There was that letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read aloud at last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like we've, like this whole mansion and this whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked inside some kind of bizarre world. That's right, when I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted and the island was shut off by the typhoon, so you could really call this place another world, cut off from the real one by now. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So, what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bon Festival dance or something? It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't know what to think. Anger, sadness, the opposing emotions all swirled up together and they started to suck me in. Unable to resist, I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and trust to my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. Alright, I think that's the closest we can get to an endpoint that we can really point to. So for now, we're going to call it there. Oh, wait. Hold on. System. This one is grayed out now. Disappeared from his study unnoticed. Kinzo's study has everything from a bed to a toilet to a bathtub, so it is extremely rare for him to go outside. However, he does occasionally go out for a walk on a whim without telling anyone, and his disappearance invariably leads to a huge uproar throughout the house. He usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually. Okay, and none of the others seem to have changed. Alright. Well, we're gonna call it there. And next time we can pick this up where we left off. So, I will see you then. Until then, take care.